Alright, before this video starts, I just wanted to say that according to my statistics, this is my 100th review that I've done for Safari Ltd. And I just wanted to send a big thank you to the company because I really don't believe that I would be here without them in the first place. Way back in 2015, April 2015, when I started this YouTube channel. I just want to say thank you to everybody who's watched all the videos. Thank you to Safari so much for sticking with me all these years. And 8 years later, which is crazy, almost a decade later, I'm happy to present to you my 100th review of the new and upcoming Safari Ltd. Estemmenosuchus. This one was surely a surprise when I found out they were making it. Estemmenosuchus is one of my favorite Permian creatures, and it's great to see more non-dinosaur representation in Safari's lineup, especially Paleozoic stuff. This one is not yet available, but once it is, make sure to use the coupon code SpinoDude at the checkout to save on your order. Estemmenosuchus is such a weird creature. It shares a very similar body plan to many other therapsids from its time in the suborder Dinocephalia, but its head is adorned with these crazy protrusions that give it its name, Estemmenosuchus, or the crowned crocodile, certainly making it a standout from its relatives, just like me for real. This figure is quite small, and I actually want to start this review with a measurement to really drive that home. It's just about 4 inches long and 2.5 inches tall, which, like I said, is quite small. But for what this animal is, I think this is a really good size for general scaling next to other figures in your collection. There are 2 species of Estemmenosuchus, E. urelensis and E. mirabilis, the former being a good chunk larger than the latter according to the information I could find. Detail-wise, this figure doesn't have a lot going on. It's not very interesting texturally, but for the type of animal this is, the size it's replicated at, and the fact that it's hand sculpted, I think the textures are fine. We actually have skin impressions of Estemmenosuchus, which shows us that the animal's skin was like that of a hairless mammal, which makes sense for the group it's from. Anatomically, this figure is great. It's got a nice meaty, chunky thickness to the torso and the limbs. It's got some wrinkly foldies going on in the neck area. The most interesting part of this figure is, of course, the head. I love how boxy the back of the head is, and how we have these like muscle attachments to the ornamentations on the sides of the head. It reminds me a bit of modern entelodont depictions with the really bulked out, fleshy, muscly head designs. I also really enjoy all the soft tissues around the mouth, with the droopy lips hanging down around the teeth. And speaking of the teeth, they are nicely sculpted here for the size, and I like the way the eyes are done as well. There is some noticeable asymmetry when looking at the sculpt head on, but for being hand sculpted at this scale, it's not that bad. Now, while anatomy is good and the sculpting is good for the size of this model, I personally feel like this one falls short in the color department. Like 95% of this figure is just solid orange on the underbelly and solid brown on top. And while I feel like the solid colors on the body don't complement the simple sculpt on this one very well, I feel like the addition of another color to the head ornamentation would bring this figure to a whole nother level. I think a whitish color with some subtle markings on the head ornaments would go a long way. Just something that adds a little visual contrast somewhere else on the design to make it a bit more interesting. Estemmenosuchus is such an interesting animal, and I just feel like that while the colors and concept are perfectly fine and natural, in execution it's kind of bland, and those antler-like structures could really use a splash of something different in my opinion. Either way, I think this little figure is the best depiction we have of this genus in figure form. There aren't many Estemmenosuchus figures out there at all, so this figure is a welcome addition to the lineup, but anatomically, for its size and for the fact that it's hand sculpted, I enjoy its sculpt. I just feel like it could have a little splash of something else to make it stand out in the color department. But overall, I'm really happy that Safari is experimenting with giving us some different prehistoric animals other than dinosaurs once again. Keep making non-dinosaurs like this, Safari. Maybe give me like an Arthropleura next or something. That would be pretty cool. For a quick comparison, here is the new and upcoming Estemmenosuchus with Bernie the Gator and Safari's 2020 Shringosaurus. We got a nice pairing of early non-dino weirdos from Safari here in the past few years. I still really like the coloration on the Shringosaurus, but while I do do prefer the colors. I think anatomically and sculpt-wise, I genuinely prefer the Estemmenosuchus. That's gonna do it for this review, guys. Crazy that we've made it to 100 reviews for Safari over the years, and it's even crazier that the 100th review is such an interesting animal in Estemmenosuchus. This guy is not yet available, but once he is, make sure to use the coupon code SpinoDude at the checkout to save on your next order. Let me know what you think of this new upcoming figure down below, and I'll catch you guys in my next review, so take care, and bye-bye.